All right, I'm joined by orthopedic surgeon, former NFL team doctor, so much experience in the sports world, Dr. David Chao. Doctor, you saw the play with Jayden Daniels got hurt. I think it happened early on in the game, first carry. What was your interpretation of what happened on the play and what you saw on the film?
Anthony, what do you need me for? Like, you got to figure it out. You played the game. Look, it was the first carry, and as we set this up, you were saying you think it's rib cartilage, and then I think I said you something like, "Yeah, it's rib cartilage," and it absolutely was the first play. I will admit that you probably were on it before I was, because we're watching from our quote war room. We got 10 games on, and everyone's watching. And we're watching different things. And so, yeah, I saw the great play that first play, and I saw he got folded up a little bit at the end, but I didn't think a lot of it until later on, a few plays later, sore
Yeah.
and whatever. But you got the reason why it's rib cartilage is classic. He got folded up on it. It's the soft cartilage. But this is also why his mom says he's fine. Like, lay moms are like, it's not broken, it's fine, right? I mean, yeah, there's no fracture when you do that, but it's the soft cartilage, and guess what? That can be more painful. And to
Yes.
his credit, he stayed in the game for a little bit. Have you
Yeah.
you had a rib cartilage injury, or
I did. So when I was
there you
at the
go?
game, I was at that game live, and I actually did not see the play until I watched it on the tape. And so when I saw him
Okay.
get folded up, I was like, "Yep, that's it." And I thought about mine when I used to play arena football in Odessa. I had fallen on the football, and it just felt like just a shot to my ribs, and I couldn't breathe. And when one day I got pushed in the ribs, and I folded over in pain, and I played the next week. But I do know that every twist, every turn, even
Yes.
extending to throw the ball, like I'm thinking just kinetically, like that has to
Yeah,
be
and
troublesome.
here's the thing: rib cartilage injuries sound better than rib fractures, but they actually can be more painful because of all the muscles and instability and so forth. Look, there's no risk for lung collapse. There isn't that kind of danger, but in some ways it's functionally more difficult. And he came out of the game, and yes, the score got away from the Panthers, but still, it's hard to play through because try throwing a football without torquing your body and your ribs and every deep breath, besides getting hit and what have you. Rib cartilage injury heals slowly over time. You feel a lot better
Yeah,
the first week, a lot better the second week, but it lingers a little bit. I mean, this is going to be
yeah,
with them for multiple weeks here. And of
yeah.
course, what all fans want to know is he going to play, right?
Exactly. They
Look,
put him as week to week, and you got a big matchup coming up. Caleb Williams, number
let me
one,
tell
versus
you,
number two.
look, I love Dan Quinn. I don't know him personally. I know people who know him through people and whatever. And look, in coach speak world, day to day means week to week. He's already telling you he's not playing. Okay. And if you listen to his words, okay, let me tell you why I do not believe Jayden Daniels is playing. If this were for the division title and he's a third year player, he's playing. He's
Yeah,
getting it shot up and playing. If this were for the Super Bowl, he's playing. This is a divisional matchup. Sorry, not division. It's a conference. It's against the Bears. Let me tell you, Dan Quinn could give a darn about first pick in the draft versus second pick of the draft. No one in that locker room cares about that. TV cares about that. Fans care about that. No one on the Washington Commanders cares about that Caleb Williams matchup. You know the gig. Come on.
oh
Nobody
yeah.
cares about that
But
stuff.
technically,
You're,
they're
you're
still
trying to put
in it.
together something big for the season. And here's the deal. So the size of the matchup doesn't matter to them, that it's Caleb Williams. First of all, he's not even playing against him, right? But that's a whole nother story.
Right.
But here's the reasons why he's not playing. A, it's painful. You'd have to get it injected. And I get it, since Tyrod Taylor, people don't really love the injection. I did it a bunch. I did it dozens and dozens of times in my career. Didn't have anything happen wrong. Philip Rivers has let me say I injected him probably 15, 20 times throughout his career, because each time he might need 4 or 5, right? But
Mm.
yeah, like, I get it. I get why players don't want to, but that's not even it. Even if he could get the injection to play, are you really, no offense to Jayden Daniels, he's done very well. Are you really putting out a rookie without practice reps during the week? Or are you going to put out Marcus Mariota? right?
I think
I'm
I
just
think you
saying.
need to go with the
Every
vet.
week's a new game plan. He's still a young player. And if he can try and gut it out and play through without the injection, or even if with the injection, and he's not 100%, do the Commanders want to risk him hurting something else, like his knee or getting dumped on his shoulder, because he's a half step slow? Besides that, if you don't have the torque in your body and your obliques, which attach to the cartilage, rib cartilage, your accuracy may be affected as
Mm-hmm.
well. And
Mm-hmm.
so, do you really want that for the kid? He's rolling good right now. And so, I don't think there's any way they play him this week. Look,
Yeah,
I don't even know who the Commanders play next week, but the following week may be in question too. This is why Dan Quinn said week to week. And go back to the preseason when Dan Quinn, you saw the sideline video of Dan Quinn saying, get down, right?
yeah.
He knew then this kid was special and that this was sort of the future of the team. He knows it even more now. He's not going to jeopardize that,
True.
right? I mean, who cares if this is against Caleb Williams? Sure, it's every week's a big game, but this week is no bigger than next week, and there are bigger games to play,
Very
divisional
true.
games to play.
Very
Washington's in
true.
good position in the division. So I just don't even think it being a consideration this week.
What type of timeline would you give? I know you say it slowly feels better, but is it like it got to be a minimum 2 weeks before you consider bringing him back, or is it up to his pain tolerance that you let?
Well, there is something that's up to his pain tolerance, right? And everyone's different. And but to return to play, and I'm actually just trying to look up the schedule. Well, you can tell me who the Commanders got coming up.
Man, let me get that for you. I know they have a week 14 bye, so
well, he'll be back before then. He ain't making it that
back.
long.
Yeah, he'll be back before then. But just going, thinking that far out down the line, generally you'd have a break by now. But the good thing, I guess, you don't have to fly on a plane, so I would think flying wouldn't be very helpful for this type of injury. But let me get a schedule pulled up for you, Coach. They got the Bears, then they're traveling up to the Giants, who have a very stellar pass rush. Then they have the Steelers with T.J. Watt. So you have Montez Sweat, Kayvon Thibodeau, Brian Burns, and then you have T.J. Watt lined up. You may want to be a little bit more patient with Jayden Daniels. What do you think?
Well, the good news is this isn't going to be something where he punctures his lung. The good news is this isn't something where the rib injury itself turns into something that's season-ending. But if he's slow and inaccurate or gets hit because he's not as mobile, that could turn into something. Look, it's too early to tell, even in the Commanders training room, okay? Day by day, let's see what happens. This week, I just don't see it. I really don't see it. If he progresses at lightning speed and feels good and can get some at least limited practice in, maybe, because Giants, it's a divisional game. You can't say the Giants aren't doing well, we're going to beat them, right? I mean, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. That's how you get beat, when you say, oh, that's a win, we can sit people, right? It's a divisional matchup game. That's a bigger game. Maybe they're going to look at it and see. I would say the chances of this week are less than 5%. The chances of the Giants, too early to tell, but they're going to take a look and see. And then it starts to get to the side of the positive side of questionable. So a week not happening, 2 weeks maybe coming back, possible. We'll see.
All right.
The third week becomes more probable, right? And so every week a little bit better, not long term, but you got to take care of the young kid, and everything Dan Quinn has said indicates that. And
absolutely,
that's kind of where we're at. And besides, Mariota is more than serviceable, right?
That is true. He looked good. He looked great on Sunday. I mean,
I'm
he knows the
Marcus
offense.
Mariota fan. Back to Tennessee days. I mean, because I deal in injuries all the way back to Tennessee days. He had a real injury. There was one game against Tennessee when he had a nerve issue. I'm like, this kid can't grip the ball. This kid can't grip the ball and throw, but he didn't have anyone behind him. And I remember the very first play of the game, they threw long. And it was obviously off target and incomplete. But I was like, yeah, they're just doing that because everyone thinks he can't throw long. Let's get one out there. Now everyone stays back and respects it. And every other pass was dink and dunk because he physically couldn't. Yet he never made a case of it, and he just played through it. And we all know Mike Vrabel, he's smart enough to say, oh, yeah, you can't throw out. We'll just do it. We don't care if you complete this. Let's just get one out there.
Yeah. Sometimes you just got to put it on tape sometimes. Just
Yeah.
put it on
And
tape.
especially, the DBs, they start, oh, he went, okay, so much for what we've been hearing. We can't just creep up on him,
Yeah. Absolutely, man. I love it, man. Hey, Coach, I appreciate you joining in here with me. I mean, it's been a pretty busy week in injuries, so y'all make sure y'all check out Dr. Chao on Sports Injury Central podcast on the Believe Network. He's covering all the injuries. I mean, there's Brandon Ayuk, Deshaun Watson with an Achilles, Chris Godwin with an ankle dislocation. A lot of pretty bad injuries out there.
Yeah, and the other thing is for your fans, a majority, not everything, but the early stuff about rib cartilage and potentially missing, we said that in game from the War Room. The Commanders game wasn't even over, and that was our impression looking at video, because I looked at video for 17 years when I was in the NFL. I saw a player on the field, on the sideline, in the locker room the next day after an MRI, and before meeting with the GM, I would have some time to kill, half an hour, and I'd go look at the video. So there, I knew the answer, could look at the video and see what it now means. Now I don't have the answer, but I can look at video and sort of see what it kind of is.
Man, I love it, man. I appreciate you taking the time to talk with me and talk about Jayden Daniels' injury. Commanders fans, he's going to be okay. Let's just be patient. Marcus Mariota will run the show. That's what Dr. David Chao says. Y'all be good. Take to y'all on the next one.